Good. Thank you for coming. You're back. You've been at all these.
Did Bree ask you to read these guys' names off?
No. Oh, you want me to?
Yeah.
Is that Kelly
McCann?
Kelly McCann, Mark Daniel, and Kia Porter, if you're around here. Kelly McCann, Mark Daniel, and Kia Porter.
All right.
Eesh.
How much are your balls?
That I don't know. Yeah.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
He's got you doing this now too?
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name's Aaron Beighle. I'm going to talk a little bit about building relationships with kids. I think it's one of these things that we don't necessarily do enough, and we get lost in a lot of the ins and outs of our grade level outcomes, and the idea of building relationships with kids is obviously something that we should take a little more seriously. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is this, where these connections happen. And the first thing is that you connect with your kids. So one of the ways that I don't think we do enough is connecting with kids and really talking to kids and asking them about themselves. And if you've ever got to know someone, the best way to get to know someone is ask them about themselves. So to ask them more than just things you can see. I was not very good at this when I was teaching early in my career, at really getting to know students. So, for example, I would ask you more than knowing more about you than that you're in the third grade, you're a behavior problem, and that, you know, I know your sister. Getting to know them more than that. So we have to really be intentional about connecting with our students, and we have several games and things that won't do with just a few people, but the other piece of getting to know your kids is to free up your time with management. You have to have management skills, and we talked a little bit last time. By the way, make sure you get a ticket. Management skills with how you freeze your kids. How do you get equipment? How do you instruct? Do you talk for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes? How do you group your kids, and how do you manage positive behavior? Because if you can be efficient, that frees you up to get to know. I have student teachers all the time that are constantly worried about their getting to the end of their lesson. And they get to the end of the lesson, and I ask them about some specific child, a specific student, and they just totally missed out on it and didn't really connect with the student. So the first thing is to you connect with your student. The other piece of it is letting your students connect with each other. So the first game I'm going to do, I'm going to try this activity out. We can probably do it with three of you. You guys, three of you stand up here. Have you guys ever done this? Okay, we're going to try this. I don't know if we might need to. What we're going to try and do, you're going to hold that. Hold that. Thanks, Adam. I'm going to help too. Let me take that off. We are going to try and work together.
Here we go. We got add another way up here.
Perfect. We're going to try and make an S on this together. So we're going to have to let it. Oh, I can't come over here. Okay. All right, we're going to try and make an S. So let it lower it down onto the marker, onto the whiteboard. Now we're going to have to communicate.
Let's start up here. We'll go down. There you go. Full press. It's kind of a four.
Okay, that's one chance. That's our first chance, right? Now let's try it again. I think we got it this time. You got to keep it tight and down low. Look at that. Gifted and talented. Now you think you're really good. Spell shape. Start on the left side. I want to be able to read the shape, so I'm where you're referencing.
Pull it this way more. Pull it this way more. You guys gotta give some slack.
So we come in from this way.
There you go.
Okay. Up higher.
Up higher.
You need to pull.
Where we start? Let's go
Right
right here.
there. This way more. There we go.
Look at that.
Capital up.
You decided to use cursive all of a sudden. That's good. Way to be creative. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. If you're just walking up, make sure you stick around and get a ticket. We're going to have a raffle at the end of this session. So go ahead and put us down and then have a seat. You can just leave it right there. That'll keep me from walking over there. So if you learned nothing else, what did you learn? There are a lot of different ways to make an H, an A, a P, and an E, right? I do this activity, a similar activity where you have a partner, and one partner's the right hand, one partner's the left hand, and you have to tie a shoe. Kids have no idea there's a different way to tie the shoes than they do. Like, no, everybody ties their shoes the same way. No, they don't, and they learn that kind of thing. Lots of different things to get kids to know each other. So, we're talking about building relationships. The first thing we talked about is you building relationships with kids, getting to know them beyond what you see. The second thing is getting kids to know each other, cooperation, making sure you're debriefing, talking about what we had to do here, talking about different ways to build, for them to connect. The last thing that we're getting better at, I think, is the idea of connecting students with the activity. And I know that sounds a little hokey, out there kind of thing, but what is their why? Why are kids active? If you tell kids, hey, we're doing this activity because you can do it as an adult so you don't have high blood pressure and die of a heart attack, that's not going to connect with them. That has no meaning to them at all. What do kids like? They like excitement, they like adventure, they like fun, they like to, sometimes some kids like to compete, some kids like to cooperate. We have to get to know them. If you don't get to know your kids, you can't have meaningful physical activity for them. So getting to know your kids, I think, is extremely important with respect to being able to connect and connect them with the activities that they like. The last thing, just real quick on with activity, I have two stepdaughters that have a physical education teacher that does a great job of this. Connecting what we do in PE outside of PE. When he does tennis, he tells them where tennis courts are in their community. When he does some walk-jog activities that are in our dynamic PE ASAP curriculum, when he does that, he tells them about walks that are coming up in the community. He does a jump rope team, and he talks about those different opportunities. We have to connect what we do. I have a colleague, I don't know if he's here or not, that did some research with adults and their knowledge of the park, of their knowledge, if they knew a park that was within a mile of their house, and like 70% of them didn't know the park was there. So your kids aren't going to know. There's a school I can think of in Lexington that most of the kids there live in an apartment complex, and right on the other side of the apartment complex is a tennis court. And the PE teacher ties that, said, we're doing tennis, you can go down here, you can borrow rackets, those types of stuff. So building relationships with kids, with helping them connect with each other, helping you connect, you have to connect with kids. And then also getting the physical activity to connect with the students. So those types of connections and the relationships, we always talk about building relationships with kids. Extremely important, but building relationships and helping them build relationships with activity, which is what we're trying to sell. So you building activities is great, but ultimately it has to be them building relationships with activities as well. All right? Any questions? That was pretty quick. Does everybody have a raffle ticket? If you did not get a raffle ticket,